In an overall sense, Chuck, so we know what the outcome is that the Anaheim PD fired one of these officers and the other one is being disciplined. Do you think stuff like this makes it hard for police-civilian interactions?
Yeah. I don't know which one got fired, but I can guess. And it doesn't surprise me that that's the outcome. Quite frankly, I think the driver officer wasn't in emotional control and just started reacting without really considering contextualizing. Is I like to tell people there's no bad tactics. There's tactics used in the wrong context. Like, do I press? Do I hold? Do I take cover? Do I push forward? Do I shoot through the windshield? Do I not shoot through the windshield? It's all contextual. It's all contextual. In this case, I think he applied tactics very, very poorly. And I don't know that there were any bystanders hit, but I'm really glad that they weren't, because I'm telling you, there's bullets all over that neighborhood.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, 67 rounds that didn't strike their intended target means they struck something. I didn't hear anything in the news about any other collateral injuries, so I don't think anyone else was hurt. But man, it sure seemed like the juice wasn't worth the squeeze there to me.
I agree. I agree. And what you said before, as far as like police public interaction, the perception of the public of the police, what kind of training my officers have, things like that. This is one of those videos that's not doing that perception any good.
Right. Well, and okay, so I want to talk just a little bit with you about the lead up into this. So these officers get a call and they only hear what they hear from dispatch. So they're not hearing the 911 call. They're not hearing the call in from the people, but they hear a man with a gun acting erratically. Okay. So is there a way that if I have to call in to get some officer presence that would be better to keep maybe the responding officers from being so keyed up? I mean, obviously he is acting erratically. He does have a gun. So is this an inevitability?
Well, you want the people who call 911 to give good information. And then, quite frankly, they have a guy with a gun acting erratically. They called the police because they were worried about what the guy might do. So did they call that in correctly? I think so. I think so. They probably went in a little bit keyed up. I get that, and that is normal. We're all human beings. Did they try to make an approach? They had guns out ready to go in case this went to guns. They tried to do all that. Then the guy gets in the car and drives, or gets in the truck and drives away. He's waving the gun. He's pointing the gun out the window. If I was in a pursuit at that point, instead of shooting burning rounds through my own windshield, I think I'd have backed off, kept the guy into sight. If I was a passenger officer, got my carbine ready to go and been ready for this to go to guns while I start calling for support. I don't know what kind of manpower they have on the street, what kind of call load they had that day, what resources they have, but if you're a cop on the radio saying we are following a dude with a gun, we have a low speed pursuit, you're going to get a lot of help very, very quickly, even if it has to be neighboring jurisdictions. So, I've never been to Anaheim. I don't know, what size their police department is or anything like that. But if they're rolling 2-man cars, they got pretty good resources in my experience.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, you start calling out, I got a man with a gun that I'm following, you're going to get an awful lot of help on that. Dudes that are writing traffic tickets are going to button those tickets up pretty quick and head your way, So, yeah, I think this one is crazy all the way around. I can tell you just from my experience, that dealing with family members who have had significant disturbances, right? Emotional disturbances, that where I am at least, we have a crisis response line that you can call first, and they'll send people out pretty quick that are trained mental health professionals to kind of assess. And of course, they don't do police work, right? They're not doing that stuff, but they can keep that from keying up in a police guy. Now, again, if the family member has a gun, you don't know that it's a BB gun or whatever, you think it's real, 911 is probably the right answer. And unfortunately, things like this happen when that goes down. But I don't blame the officers for not knowing that it was a BB gun. A realistic looking BB gun is a deadly threat. And a reasonable perception of a deadly threat, right? Man, I do see that this is the kind of thing that doesn't make it any easier for non-sworn and police interactions to gain trust, in my opinion.
And you know what you said before, I'm a big believer in CIT, crisis intervention team training, the concept that came out of Memphis. We do that here in my area, all over the state of Kansas. Topeka is very big on that, trying to get the entire department through that training, dealing with people with emotional disturbances, psychological issues, things like that. I'm all for that. And I'm a big believer in it. I help offer that training locally in the academy. When TPD does their academy, I still do instruction there. So I agree with what you're saying there, but you're not going to get anybody in a non-SWOR capacity to a man with a gun call because that's just that it's the kind of thing they're going to wait for the cops to show up first and make sure it's stabilized.
Yeah, 100%. So I think if you're going to get the crisis response team there, it's before he's got a gun around and all those things. It's being willing to get some outside help before it gets to the highest level of crisis. And I, being transparent, we've had a case where we had crisis out, and then the crisis response team said, you know what, this has crossed our boundaries. We need to get the police here. And so then the police showed up, and we're professionals in our case, and we're fantastic, and we're great. So. Man, Chuck, I appreciate the insight, man. This is, I think, really helpful for people. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.